Okay, welcome to another session at the back bar. As always, joined by my other wives, Minnie and Skywalker, for the evening.
Hi there.
One of you is looking smaller by the episode, and one of you is looking smarter by the episode. I'll let you decide who's who.
I'll go smarter. Thanks.
You,
I don't know if I want to be small.
actually, it was definitely the other way around.
Um,
Skywalker, you're doing your best Clark Kent tonight.
Exactly. I know I actually wearing red as well.
when you say
And
small, lean rather than
leaner,
small.
yeah, sorry, leaner, sorry, bad choice. Sorry, wrong choice of word.
Oh,
Excuse me.
I might take lean then if that's what you're going for.
You too, you too. Hey, you take the
Thanks.
compliment as well. Why not?
You
So,
look
hey,
smart and short, small. You look that too. Congratulations.
it's me.
Well,
I give anything. I'm just hairier since the last time.
oh, great.
Yeah, I need to shave just need to shave my beard. Nothing else.
All right.
Uh,
Anyhow,
so want to go down that road, do we? Anyway, so how the Jesus are we? What's been happening? It's been a wee while. A month since the last one.
Yeah.
What's been happening?
Summertime, I'm enjoying cooking my ass off. I don't think I've ever worn anything more than factor 20, but I actually would be fucking smothering myself at about factor 50 or something like that. I've been putting the kid stuff on just for extra protection. It's been so flipping hot.
I
So,
had a lovely
Good.
moment when I was out the back. Amanda's out for the day, so I was just like, went to the gym in the morning, came back, and I had an hour and a half, and I thought this is it. This is my chance just to get my music on, my wee book, sitting out in my wee zero gravity thing, and so this is good. Wee eyes closed, sun beating down on me. It's like, amazing. Next thing I was like, "Can you smell smoke?" I was like, "The fuck is that?" And it was the cup final, and my fucking massive Celtic fan neighbour was just standing in the middle of his garden with a fucking flare. Right? So I just looked up and there's all this green smoke fucking pouring in. So like the kitchen door's open. So I was like, oh, fuck. They're trying to close the door. This guy's like, I don't know, late 30s, early 40s. And it's 2 o'clock on a Saturday and he's just standing with a flare in his fucking back garden. I was, like, I was fucking furious. I took a picture of it because I was like, I'm going to send this to the police. Did I fuck? I just moaned about it when inside. But yeah, so that was the end of sunbathing for me.
He sounds like a hoot.
I don't know how you can somebody read a book and listen to music. It's
So you have the things in there, the pod things, right? Well, the fake
To
Apple.
be fair, all I said was he was looking smarter. I didn't say I was smarter.
I can multitask because I was sunbathing. Right? That's a passive activity, right? Just lying,
Lie.
music, passive, and then I just had a book. How
you
is that
can't
different?
you can't listen to music and read a story.
Maybe you can. Because you've got
It's
glasses on doesn't mean that you're fucking like
uh,
Einstein.
there's no way you don't enjoy a book
Spot,
with no.
spot the dad though, calling it reading
That's
the story.
I know you don't just read a story. And
No way you could listen to your banging tunes while reading the Gruffalo. I don't buy it.
Like,
exactly. I know
if
you
I
want to
told you it was
buy
a
it.
picture book, would that make a difference? It was one of those ones you pull, you have to like move stuff, and the stuff pops out.
That's my favorite. Uh, no, I don't
Very
think
good in
I
fairness.
ever listen. I don't even like it when Lorna's like sitting next to me when I'm reading a book and she's like playing on her phone.
Just breathing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I like complete silence when I'm reading.
I need complete silence. I need complete
uh, but
silence.
anyway, each to their own, I suppose.
Lovely stuff. Lovely
Yeah.
stuff.
So, what about you, Gigi?
Hey, last couple of weeks have been pretty quiet since I was over in after coming back from a stag do in Amsterdam,
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
order.
which was a that was a hoot.
Can imagine.
Talking of
Jesus.
sunbathing, I was very lucky. I had a roommate for the weekend who was looking out for me. So it was a roasty toasty over there, and I had at the airport grabbed the only travel size sun thing I could find, which is factor 15, which
That doesn't suit you.
for
Yeah.
my complexion not the best. But I was like, do you know what? Slap it on. I need something. Put it on. I know Fozzie goes, Gail, just saw that say factor 15 you were putting on, mate. And I was like, yeah, I know it's all it's got. He's got, here's some factor 30, pal. I think you need a bit more on you.
Yeah.
So
Was
I
that,
factor 45 for the two of them on.
I
that how it
Uh,
worked?
all afternoon out in the sun, not a touch of burning. It was amazing.
Was that you name dropping your roommate? Was I ex Glasgow Warriors Callum Forrester? Was that what you were doing?
That's actually you doing that. I just said Foz. It could have been anyone called Foz.
You were asking for it. That was a wee fishing thing there.
So, Sorry, I could have gone back. Sorry, I should have said my roomie. Apologies.
Whose stag was it?
I probably wouldn't know.
Probably not. Who was
So,
it?
some big dafty from the Highlands.
Oh, I don't know.
Who was it?
Murray Lowe.
Ex-Scotland and Glasgow Warriors Murray Lowe.
That's the very one.
Jeez, oh.
And we're accompanied by a couple of former podcast guests, actually.
Was Adam McCormick there?
Hey Dog and St. Phoenix. Really random. That's been a good weekend, actually. That was Jacko and Ryan Grant.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, but they see, like, our rugby crowds, you go on a night out, things get loose. See these ex-professional crowd, man. Honestly, it's another level. They're a bunch of absolute hooligans.
Challenge accepted.
That's really
me.
timing. We've got a wee weekend away soon, Gable, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were, it was quite loose. Fun though.
Did you just
Beautiful
kill anyone?
place. Not that anyone will admit to.
Right, Ali, there we go. Let's
Muzz's cousin did only appear for a couple hours and went missing.
Came
Not
back.
that that's all dead. Like maybe when they get home. But yeah, good for him.
But yeah, no, it was a good weekend. Other than that, I've been keeping it pretty quiet.
Body always dies after.
I was a wreck for about 4 days after coming back.
Totally just like rolls and sausages on Wednesdays and stuff. Yeah. I feel you.
It's like Chinese the night I got back, McDonald's the next night, like another takeaway the night after that.
That's what I've done. I was like, oh, Gimel wasn't a stag at the weekend. I need a McDonald's today.
Solidarity.
Thanks,
man. I appreciate you.
I need someone that's got a stag.
Next stag I've got coming up belongs to you.
No.
That's going to be fun.
He's not coming. I thought we spoke about this, Ali.
Who's Gimel's not coming?
Yeah.
Okay. I know. We've told him a different place. We told him we're going to Amsterdam again.
What?
Oh, we're going to Skegness.
As long as my friends are there, I'll have a great time. But
hopping
just
on the megabus.
If it's fucking Skegness,
sure it was a few years ago or something, but actually it popped up on my newsfeed was that all these lads were getting on a flight to what knows where, and they had the stag dressed up in like almost like a pink like hoodie thing for a girl, and then like hot pants thing, and he was the last one to get on the plane, and he looked at the ticket and like, you're not on this flight. So his flight was 3 hours later to the same destination. Back to the waiting area and all this stuff with no clothes, no bag.
By himself.
And then have to get onto a plane 3 hours later dressed like that. I was like, oh, you would be like, it's my stag do. It's like, I wish all your mates. I was like, oh, it was so good.
It's just getting spat on in the airport and like.
Imagine trying to go for a coffee or something like that and just be like,
"Give me you pervert."
Oh, it just made me. I would hate that so much. Like, oh, fun to laugh at, but not to be.
It's fun to do to someone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fun to do some like maybe next summer onwards would be hilarious, man. Like really funny.
Planting some seeds there, but anyway. So before I get too carried away and too giggly, what we're doing? What's the script?
What we're doing? Probably just talk to someone.
Could do.
Sounds like what we do here.
Keen? Well, so the person we've got on tonight has been probably just about every major rugby event you could think of. Olympic Games, Commonwealth, and I'm pretty sure he's on course to add the Rugby World Cup to his resume this year.
Big sportsman, I guess.
Was that? He just goes to games. Big spends a lot of money on travel and tickets. So, without further ado, shall we get the man on and reveal our guest?
Oh, it's a secret guest tonight.
Okay.
Sorry, just.
It's your thing. You just do
it.
Roll with it, baby. Roll with it.
Go.
You keep your secrets. That's fine.
You keep your secrets.
Yeah,
Right, let's get 'em on. Right, so here we are. Our guest tonight has been at the Olympics twice, two different sports, the Commonwealth Games, the World Rugby Sevens World Cup, Guinness Pro12, Six Nations, and heading for the Rugby World Cup 15s tournament this year. The man who keeps the stars on the pitch, the king of the tape, the master of strapping, Scotland's physio Ali Little. How are we?
I'm very well, thanks. Thanks for that introduction. I would also say probably more helper of kit men than king of the strapping. So yeah, there's a couple of us in the team. So I'm the assistant to the big man, Stu, my boss. So he's the one that calls the shots, and I just help out in the background.
Well,
That says some
we're going with
resume,
king
by
of
the way.
strapping.
But what a resume, man! I was like, how long is this going on for? Like, it's just this.
You
Well,
forgot the World University Games where I worked with the women's sevens team. Some of those girls have gone on to play for England, win the World Cup, and a few other bits and bobs. But yeah, pretty much that's me in a nutshell.
there we go. At least I got most of it.
Yeah, it's good.
I
It
can give
sounds
myself.
it sounds quite impressive when somebody else says it to you. You know, you
Yeah,
don't actually realize what the work resume looks like until somebody actually reads it out as a
yeah.
list.
It's
I'll be
better than
honest.
saying that you worked at the Kelly Sevens, mate. Like that's a big jump up from that.
I'm just trying to think. No, I didn't actually work at any sevens tournaments for the club. I probably played in a few, but never worked at any. Um, just the Melrose Sevens, actually.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah.
Aye. Jesus.
Just another nice notch on the resume there.
Yeah.
So you've been as I can't remember if it was one of the other two lads commented when you popped up on screen. You're looking quite tanned. You're just back from a World Cup training camp in France. How was that?
Yeah, we went to Nice for 10 days. So essentially, that was just to give the guys that are going to be there, or the whole squad, really a taste of where we're going to stay. So we're staying in a hotel that we're going to be using for the prep for the whole of the World Cup. Training the pitches we're going to be training at, and use the gym, and basically see the local area. So that when we do get to go to the World Cup, nothing's a surprise. There's nothing with the hotel that we need to change. You know, everyone knows what the beds are like. If they need to bring their own pillows, they bring their own pillows. If the food is dodgy, we need to speak to the chefs. That's already done, so that
Right.
everything doesn't come as a surprise when we get there, which is to make it as seamless as possible and to make it as good an experience for the guys as so they've got nothing really to worry about, and all they just can concentrate on is the rugby. So that was the aim of it, and it was a pretty good 10 days that we're there for. It rained the first day, torrential, a bit like the Scotland game. It was a bit like that as we're coming back from training. But apart from that, it was sunny and warm and quite hot. So the players loved that for running around and doing their fitness testing while we just sit there and watch them.
Sounds like a prop stream, that like 30-degree heat and beep test, man.
There was a few guys that were struggling come the end of the week, but the management team had to do a one rep bronco at the end of the training session while all the players watched on. So that was interesting. I'll not say who won, but
What's the Bronco again?
it's
the big
it's a
shuttle.
fitness test that they do. It's a 20 back, 40 back, 60 back is one rep, and then they do that 5 times per time. So the good guys.
That would just be a warm up for you, Els.
What's that? Sorry.
That would just be a warm up for you.
Well, actually, there's a couple of guys in the management team that are ridiculously fit, and they were racing it. I had the wrong trainers on. That's my excuse. Didn't want to pull a hamstring in the last day. I don't think I've sprinted. I actually went down to Tartan Touch at White Craigs 2 weeks ago and thought I was going to pull my hamstring as I went for a gap, because it's the first time I've run, but I've never sprinted. You don't sprint these days.
No.
I'm going to go for a steady run, but I actually spotted a gap, tried to go through a hole and then felt my hamstring tighten. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that again. Distribute the ball. That's you. So, yeah, but no, getting back to the question, it was a really good 10 days. I think the boys all enjoyed it. Everything went smoothly and the weather was fantastic. So yeah, roll on the 1st of September when we move out there.
Decent. That sounds awesome.
Okay. So we'll start at the beginning. So obviously we've gone through your resume and everything that's quite good, but where did it all kind of start for you? Where was the kind of how did you get into the physiotherapy side of things? But take us back to the beginning.
So I did sports science at university, and at that time, sports science wasn't really as advanced as it is at the moment. There wasn't sports scientists employed by football teams, as far as I was aware, and most of it was researchy type stuff. And come the third year of my degree, it was obvious that I'd have to go down the research route or something else, and I wasn't really into that. So I don't know if you remember the physio Derek that worked up at the rugby club back in the day. I had a couple of injuries, and Derek was the physio there, and I basically did a bit of shadowing with him. He got me into a place in Springburn where he worked, and then I did some shadowing down at the Vicky, and got onto a physio degree down in Middlesbrough. And so I went down to there for a couple of years, studied there, and then came back to Glasgow and got a job at the Victoria Infirmary in the south side. So I had a job in there, which was class because it was a small hospital, so you got to know everybody. There's lots of good rotations, and we had a really good time. It was a close knit team. Actually, one of the physios that was there, Dave Brown, he is just back from Australia to get married. I was at his wedding at the weekend, and so we were reminiscing the other day about all the different sort of nights out that we had and a few other bits and pieces that we did that will maybe be for another podcast. But from there, went to Springburn Health Centre. Knew I wanted to concentrate on musculoskeletal physio, which is if you were to talk to a physio and just say, what do you think, like that, the lay person, and go physio, it's like muscles and bones, that sort of stuff, your sports injuries, these sort of things. So I wanted to do that side of physio. And there was a job at Springburn Health Centre for a year doing outpatients, which is what musculoskeletal physio is. And I went for that and got that job. It was a part-time role, temporary role for a year. And then wanted to stay in that. Didn't really, I knew that I wanted to sort of work in sport, but I didn't really know if it was full-time or what was happening. I was doing some stuff on the side through gymnastics because my lecturer at university was involved in gymnastics from a GB side, and I'd kind of gone down. I'd travel up and down to different competitions. I'd actually make more money in travel expenses than I would for the weekend covering the event. So I would just choose the ones that were furthest away down in Essex and all these places and drive down and make like double the amount of money than I would sit at the side of the competition hall. So that was how I got into it. Did a couple of things with Glasgow District and the rugby side, looking after the under-18s when I think Rob Harley was in the team. I remember we used to go down to Carth and train down there, but Rob Harley, when he was under-18, was in the squad. And then I saw a job advertised on the UK Sport website through the English Institute of Sport and UK Sport for an intern program. And what they did was, through them, they worked out, so the EIS, or English Institute of Sport, is the science and medicine provider for most of the Olympic sports in England. They've got locations all over England and Scotland. All the home countries have an institute. Scotland has one, Wales has one, Ireland has one, but the English Institute is kind of the biggest. And it was based off the AIS, the Australian Institute of Sport, which is kind of the leading way for sports physiotherapy. Anyway, they had two jobs with physio, two with strength and conditioning, two with nutrition, two with physiology, etc., etc. And what they would do is provide you with a year's working in sport with a mentor and also the soft skills on the side at different what were they? Their workshops through the year. And I applied for a job there. I was actually out in France with the Thistles, Glasgow Thistles, working with them, covering one of their camps out in France with Kenny Murray and a few other of those guys out there. And they paid for my flight back for the interview in London and back out again, which was really good of them. I had this interview down there, and I was lucky enough to get one of the two jobs. So it was about 750 people applied, and I got one of these two jobs. And because I'd worked in gymnastics, they gave me the job in gymnastics, or the other job was in fencing based in London. So
I can't imagine fencing gets too many like injuries or anything to deal with.
I actually was fortunate enough to. I covered one of their competitions out in Venice with the GB team and against the Italians. The Italians were like world champions at the time, and we were out there. And one of the guys, they fight on, for those that don't know, they fight on a piste. So it's basically a elevated bit of metal that they fight on, and it's a big rectangle like a cricket pitch,
All right.
but raised about maybe a couple of inches off the floor. And they sort of go up and down on this and fence on that. And one of the guys in the act of fencing went off the side and rolled his ankle. So a lot of ankle injuries. You might get a couple of like sore backs,
Okay.
things like that, but it tends to be a lot of ankles. Anyway, he had managed to cover one of those sessions. It was an amazing sport to go and experience because obviously the Italians are so passionate. The GB team actually beat them, and they were losing their shit because that shouldn't happen. Typical Italians. You can complain about, like, not complain. What's the word? You can have a, like in tennis, you know how if you think the ball's out but it's not, and you can have
Challenge
a
or whatever it is.
Okay.
like okay, whatever they call it. What's it called?
Aye.
Is it
Challenge.
Whatever
challenge?
that word is. A challenge. That's the word.
Challenge it. Yeah,
Challenge. So
yeah.
you can challenge the score, and they were challenging this all the time, and it was getting shooed away for some of them and not, and we ended up beating them, and it was like an absolute riot. It was brilliant. So yeah, so that was Venice anyway. So I got this job for a year, worked with gymnastics. The first trip I ever did with gymnastics was away to Australia for the Youth Olympic Festival. Like the closest I've been to somewhere was, like I said, down to Guildford, Glasgow, and then you're on a plane out to Australia. So as it's 4 months into the job, and I'm like, this is pretty class. Going over there to Sydney for the festival. Max Whitlock was in the team. Sam
Aye.
Oldham was in the team. A couple of other guys. Ashley Watson, who's now a Instagram famous sort of vlogger type thing. Niall Wilson, like I said, he was on what do you call it? The Dancing on Ice and all these different things now. And Max Whitlock, who's obviously multi-Olympic medalist, and they were 16 at the time. And a couple of other guys, Reece Beckford and a few other boys there. So that was with those guys. And then I worked all the way through that year, went to some European Championships, World Championships with the team. And then at the end of the year, there's no guarantee you're going to get a job full time, but I interviewed for the job. And I think because I was already in it, they gave me the job full time. And that was me working with them through the London Olympic cycle. So I stayed with the EIS until 2013, did all the competitions with these guys, and then actually got kind of headhunted for a job back in Glasgow by Paul McGinley, who was the head of Scottish Rugby at the time, for the new job as a rehab physio for Glasgow Warriors. So moved back up to Glasgow, worked with those guys, and then been with the SRU since 2013, various guys with Glasgow Warriors, then the Sevens, and then the national team now. So that's pretty much my career in a nutshell.
Ali, you should be about 105. All of that condensed into a sprightly. What age are you? 39?
42 at the moment.
Yeah. See, polite. That's insane. So what kind of made you choose, see, instead of going down the traditional NHS route of, the kind of physiotherapy side of things there, what was it that kind of spurred you to go into the kind of sports side of things? Was it opportunity, or was it something you always kind of had in the back of your mind?
I think it was more probably right place, right time. It's not what you know, it's who you know, these sort of things. I probably wasn't the best candidate, but I think they showed, I think I remember them saying that I was honest in my interview. If I didn't know, I didn't know. I didn't bullshit them and make something up. I just like, I don't really know how to do that. And so they kind of thought that was a good trait to have, and you can learn on the job with a lot of these things. I think for me, I always wanted to work in musculoskeletal physio, and if it didn't happen with sport, then I would have gone into private practice or stayed in the NHS for a bit and gone that way. It's just so happened that my career's gone sort of into Olympic sport, then elite professional sport from there. So that was obviously where my passion lay. I think it's more just getting folk better, rehabbing people. That's where I enjoy doing things. The ward stuff was cool and it was good fun, and you learn a lot of stuff. And but I think I like the faster pace of the musculoskeletal side of things, because it was more into what I wanted to do, keeping fit and getting people better, and these sort of things.
That way. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure you sat in one of my operations at the Vicky. I was getting surgery on my shoulder, my first ever one, and you came to see.
I don't think I was in the operation. I think I saw you pre-op and potentially post-op, but I don't think I was in the actual operation.
Oh, right. I was full of morphine, mate, so I've got no idea. Yeah. I just assumed I thought you were in it, mate. I thought you were the one just going for it. But
So like one of those ones where he goes close to your face and he's pretending with a knife and fork or something. So, um, well, we're talking about Team GB and the Olympics. Obviously, the athletes that are part of that, they're training for 3-4 years to for one event, one moment and stuff. But what sort of pressure is on someone like in your job for these guys, or did everything run kind of smoothly for the Olympics? Because the guys, I think they did so well there.
First Olympics with London was pretty smooth. We didn't have any issues on the way. A few minor niggles here and there, but generally the gymnasts are pretty robust, and they kind of don't come seeking physio unless they're absolutely hanging off. Their arms falling off or whatever. They're pretty resilient. But yeah, having said that, I remember watching the Olympics and going around with these guys, and you watch them do their routines so often, and you know where they consistently have been making little mistakes in training, and you know exactly when that happens. And the format with gymnastics, for folk that don't know, is there's 5 people in a team, and for the Olympic Games it's 3 up, 3 to count. So that means three of the 5 of you choose your best 3 for each piece. They do their routine, and those 3 scores count. So if you fall off, that score still counts, and essentially your medal dream is over. So right. We were first up on pommel horse, and it's probably not the best piece for us to start on, because it's the one that is the most daunting. So obviously got Max Wicklock, who is like an absolute genius on the pommel horse and could do it in his sleep with his eyes closed. But then the other 2 we've got, I think it was Dan Purvis and somebody else. And Danny's a Scottish guy from Liverpool, and he would always make a mistake on one bit through the routine, and you get to this bit and you're just like, I can't watch this. I was probably more nervous than him, and he made it through, and yeah, it was amazing times. But yeah, for that, I think there wasn't any injuries that happened through that, but the actual process of going through the competition, GB were second because Japan fell off a piece, springboarded GB up to second with 1 piece to go, and the place was going absolutely bananas. With 15,000 folk in the O2 Arena just screaming the place down, and the boys were losing it. But then they finished up, and we were finished in second, and the guys were going absolutely mental, because there was no aspiration for them to win a medal. It was more just turn up and be in the final. Mm-hmm. And then they got all the way through and they were in second place. And then Japan, what they can do in gymnastics is you can do a protest and you can contest the score. And rightly or wrongly, yeah, you don't want to be too judgmental about it, but rightly or wrongly, Japan's score get bumped back up. They went to second from 4th, bumped us down to 3rd. Ukraine were in 3rd and they get down to 4th. So I really feel sorry for them because they missed out on a medal. But it was almost like you couldn't have Japan, the powerhouse of gymnastics at that time, not getting a medal. Anyway, the boys were initially disappointed. Oh, we've got a bloody bronze medal. And then all of a sudden they realised we've got a bloody bronze medal and it's the Games and we weren't supposed to get a medal. And then it was crazy times. Really good. And then if you fast forward to the Olympics there in Tokyo, before the bronze medal match, GB versus Argentina, one of the players who was in a key position stood on one of our own players' foot in the warm-up and rolled his ankle. And this thing was like a balloon. I've never seen an ankle swell up like that straight away. And you're 30 seconds from going onto the pitch and you're just like, right, what the fuck do we do here? Okay. Try and keep calm, try and get a shoe off, try and get a sock off. Can you stand on it? Not really. Okay. We've got nothing else to do because the other guy in the playmaker's position had pretty much pulled his hamstring off the bone in the game before that. So he was out. So the doc's basically mashing up some painkillers to give to him as he's getting it. I'm strapping his ankle up as rigid as it can so it doesn't move. And it's a case of, right, we'll keep you on the bench. If we have to bring you on, we'll bring you on. But you're just going to have to go with this and see how we go on. And he was kind of jogging up and down the sideline trying to warm up and get everything going for it. But unfortunately, he couldn't come onto the pitch. The guy in this position made a couple of errors and probably could have, if the coach could have subbed him, he would have subbed him off because one of the errors kind of cost us a try, and then we lost the game by a score.
Right.
So yeah, that was a bronze medal gone, and his chance of competing in that bronze medal match gone in the space of a minute before the game starting, which was crazy. But sometimes that's the kind of pressure you're under. But sometimes, with guys, it's fairly easy. It's fairly cut and dried with some of them. You can either play, you can't. You can either go on with this and give it a go for a bit, and you're going to have to pull them off, or it's not going to happen. And I think we both kind of knew that it wasn't really going to happen, but it's an Olympic bronze medal match, so you're just going to strap it up and make it not move and see how he gets on. It's that one shot for 4 years worth of work.
Yeah. All for something as innocuous as standing on someone's foot.
Yeah, he just in the warm up just went to clear out. It was a bag drill, clear out somebody, and the guy's foot got in the way, and he stood on it and rolled his ankle. Yeah.
Well, I feel bad for the guy who done it as well, man. He must have felt like terrible for doing that. Like,
yeah,
some innocuous mistake.
I know.
No, that's crazy. So, see, obviously you've dealt with the kind of gymnastics side of things, and then kind of laterally all the rugby side of things. What's the kind of biggest difference you've noticed in the athletes? Because again, it's very, very different from gymnastics to rugby. So, what's been the biggest noticeable difference between the two, or is there a lot of similarities?
Size.
Just well, the gymnastic guys are bigger than the rugby guys. You see the arms on gymnastics guys.
I felt good when I worked in gymnastics because I was quite tall for in comparison, and then you work in rugby and you're no, I'm still small. So I think probably the biggest difference is that the gymnasts will train for 6 hours a day. The rugby guys probably don't train for 6 hours a day. They do a gym session, a break, and then straight into rugby, a bit of a break, and this, that, and the next thing. So I guess it's also different in that the sports are so different in that you get guys who just train in one piece, and it's an individual sport, and so they'll be doing their own thing, and they'll only come in together to do it as a team for competitions and things like that. So they'll be trying. That's kind of individual from there, but I think rugby, because it's more of a team sport, there's more of that camaraderie. There's a bit more of that connections that are made within the team, and that sort of shared experience at time. Because if you win as a team, you sort of lose the team, and everybody has that same thing. Whereas if you're working in the gymnastics or an individual sport, I mean, they're there to compete for themselves. Whereas the team might not get through the qualifications. There might be guys who get through within that for their own individual piece, and that's kind of what they're aiming for. And the team is a sort of, it's a nice to have at times, but yeah, right. I think that's probably the main differences.
It's amazing because I think talking about teams and stuff, you were part of the Scotland squad that won the Calcutta Cup down at Twickenham. That must have been an unbelievable experience.
Yeah, but I've had quite a few good experiences down at Twickenham actually. The Sevens team beat New Zealand. Only Scotland team to beat New Zealand down at Twickenham. The Sevens team won the World Series event, beating England in one game and South Africa in another down at Twickenham, and we've won the Calcutta Cup down there. We've drawn it once. I was there for that game where there were 30 odd points to 7 down at half time, and then came back and drew the game. And we're 1 minute away from winning that game.
Yeah,
the atmosphere there was unbelievable. And then
many you were at that one, weren't you?
He thought the game ended 37-7.
Yeah. Are you one of the guys walking out?
No. I was on it from 6 a.m, and I didn't know it was a draw until the next day. So I don't remember the second half at all, man. So,
brilliant.
Anyway,
absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So the other time, the year before, the 2 years before that, we played them during lockdown, and it was the first game of the Six Nations. And we beat them then, but there was nobody in the stadium to celebrate.
It was like
weird.
A silent clap.
Yeah, it was really weird. You could hear Eddie Jones complain about every single thing from the technical area. And then this year, when we won again, the atmosphere down there, like, it's a great stadium to go to because the atmosphere, Scotland-England games, as you know, are just hyped up, and it doesn't matter what happens. There's always like a great atmosphere, and the fact that we held them out, we were like winning, and they were pressing on our line for so long to try and get that that penalty, that score that's going to win the game, and then we get a turnover right in the last sort of couple of minutes, and the celebrations, you've probably seen the videos of everyone jumping up and down and running about the sidelines and everything else, and the celebrations there are brilliant. And it's funny because we had Netflix there at the time because they're doing a
Oh, of course, aye.
documentary series, so Netflix were following us for the first part, and they were in the change rooms after. So you'll get to see if
Uh,
the way it's cut, who knows what's going to happen, but you'll get to see what happens in the run up, the build up, the game, everything else. But yeah, from my point of view, being there and seeing the guys and the effort they put in and the sort of the way the bodies are when they come back off the pitch and just beating up a lot of them, and just the elation. It always means more to beat England, I think,
Aye.
as a Scottish person. And it shouldn't. And I think it's getting to a stage now where we're getting past that, in that it's just another game.
Yeah.
You beat England, it's not like you've won the World Cup. Right, we beat England. Oh, so what? We've beaten them the last 2 times, and we've run them close a couple of times, and it's not one of these big games that we should celebrate like we've won the World Cup. It's just another game. Because we went back to the hotel, got on a plane, flew back to Edinburgh, and had a couple of beers, and that was it. Next job, move on to the next game the next week, and that was how it went. Whereas I think the year before, when we were down at Twickenham and it was the game, the COVID, everyone was going absolutely mental, and it was like we won the World Cup. And there was a few drinks had that night.
I suppose that's a testament to how far Scottish rugby's come as well, isn't it? Because before we're always kind of also runs, and so that result would be a big deal. But now that the kind of the standard that we've raised to the level where we're kind of peers now.
That's what I've noticed as we go into the tournament now. Not just like the focus is that we're going to win the tournament, not that we're just going to target a couple of games to win. No, the focus is we can beat every other team on our day, and I think we've proved that with a couple of games that have been in this season that we probably could have won, but for a couple of our mistakes. It's not that they've beaten us; our mistakes have let them back into the game, and that's what's cost us, unfortunately. But yeah, we're there to compete. We're there to win the games, and we're ultimately going to France this summer to hopefully win the World Cup. So that's how we approach it these days.
Yes.
That's what I like to hear.
Again on Sky Bet right now.
You heard it here first.
Ali said we're winning the World Cup.
The thing is, when you watch them now, like that, the Calcutta Cup this year and all the other games, they're actually a team that for the last year or two, or probably more, have actually been playing good rugby as well. Entertaining to watch, as opposed to like 10 years ago, if we beat England, it would have been like a 12-9 game or something like that. It's actually more entertaining now, as well as stringing quite a few wins together.
And I think they pulled up a stat there recently of all the people in the Six Nations, the 2 people who beat the most defenders were Scottish. Darcy and Doohan beat the most defenders out of all the players in the Six Nations. So you've got attacking threats, and we've got attacking threats all over the place, as you can see from Blair Kinghorn and all these other guys, young guys coming up. You've got your Sione and Hugh in the midfield, even the scrum halves. So exciting times. It's exciting for us to see them and hopefully reach their potential this summer.
Good. And just on that, so how's preparations going? How are the boys looking?
Yeah, they're good. I mean, it's early days. We've done 4 weeks of a pre-season. We've got another 6. We've got off for 2 weeks now. We've got another 6 weeks, which include 4 games, and then we go to France. So I think there's a lot of rugby training sessions to be done in the run-up. But it's looking good. The boys are making good connections in the squad. The team is coming together as a wider group. And it's always going to be sad to see a couple of guys missing out, and it's going to be hard for them. But that's the nature of sport, unfortunately, when you get to the high level.
Yeah, definitely.
See, with obviously the rugby, you're saying it's been quite entertaining and stuff as well. There's rule changes with the tackling. We obviously seen, I think it was Scotland, Wales, or one of the games where it was only 5 minutes into the game. I think 2 guys bumped heads or a shoulder onto head, and a guy got sent off within 5 minutes. It's so difficult to kind of watch a game to think that it's happened for years. And they're obviously going through concussion protocols now. What's your thoughts on these new laws?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because obviously you need to make the game safer because you need to be able to, you need to have people want to pick up the game at an early age without the thoughts of, right, there's so many injuries happening in this. It's a high risk concussion, and they don't want their kids to play the game because of that. But I think, unfortunately, there's going to be a couple of games in the World Cup that are probably going to be, the score will be affected adversely because of a tackle law, an early tackle, a red card in the first 5 minutes because somebody gets excited, and it's not meant in malice. A lot of the times you look at it and it's a guy moves and at the last minute, and yeah, there's mitigating factors, but a lot of the times, yeah, the mitigating factors aren't strong enough for them to not send them off, and rightly so. I mean, the game has to be safer for everybody to enjoy it, but I think sometimes the game does get affected because of these laws. But it's not for me to say in terms of, oh, they should be doing this or should be doing that. It's the World Rugby governing body and the scientists and all these other, they've got lots of papers and people looking at the research and looking at making the game safer for everybody. But I think the World Cup could be one of these ones where a few games are spoiled because of it, and hopefully it doesn't come to the detriment of Scotland. So.
Yeah, because we had Willie Stewart on previously, and that was a real eye opener. Listening to him talk about the kind of the effects of the head injuries and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it does have to be made safer, but yeah, sometimes you just feel like a lot of the red cards are more down to bad luck than anything malicious. But
yeah, no, it's never normally malicious. It's normally just bad timing, poor techniques, and so that's something coaching has to come in and it has to be coached better. And that's what needs to happen. So I'll leave it up for the coaches to decide.
Yeah, sounds good. Right, one final question, and we'll move on. Obviously, you've gone through loads of different sports. See if you were to think of what would be the first name that would come to your mind when you're thinking about a stick note. Someone that's always on the physio bed, someone's always looking to skip the fitness, not Gemmell, but
I knew that was coming from one of you.
Yeah. We'll go for the professional ranks. Are you allowed to name names?
Well, from a patient confidentiality point of view, I probably couldn't. And do you know what? Gemmell's name was probably the one that I was going to mention. So.
All right. Well,
so at least we're unanimous in that decision.
Even he voted for himself.
It's no denying the evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love to say it was because I put my body in the line, but it was mostly like really innocuous fucking training shite, like catching my foot in a divot.
It always is for these sort of things. But yeah, there's nobody really that springs to mind in terms of jumping out of training or these sort of things. There's certain players that shall remain nameless that you do know when they say hi to them first thing in the morning that you're not going to get much out of them that day, and you're probably going to be dealing with telling the coach, "Oh, this guy's a bit tight today. He's not going to be doing this, that, or next thing." So there's a few of them that are regular offenders from that point of view. You don't know who they are when you come in first thing in the morning. But that's all I should say on that one.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. We'll move on then.
Right. So taking the spotlight off you for a few minutes, Ali, we're going to do our little heroes and zeros segment. So we each pick a hero and we each pick a zero, and you get to decide whose hero zero is best. So you want to go with heroes or zeros first?
Let's go with the heroes first, shall we?
Heroes first. And McLeod, why don't you start us off?
Okay, fine. So I am going for a TikToker, a guy called David Brereton, something like that. He's Belgian, I think. But first of all, he's 45 and he's on TikTok, so that's a bad start. But anyway, but so he pulled what's called what he calls a prank. So he faked his own death, got his family and his kids and everything to pull this prank of faking his death. And at his funeral, he helicoptered into his own funeral, but where he becomes a kind of hero on my eyes. I think it's a bit of a sick joke, but he did it to emphasize to his friends about appreciating time with everybody, that you don't have forever to deal with everybody or to be with everybody. So it was like a very visual explanation of enjoy time with everybody. So yeah, he's.
I feel like he was just attention seeking and wanted to see whether anyone missed him or not.
When you're 45 and on TikTok, then I would think so too as well. So, but he also said that I think he obviously received quite a bit of criticism for it as well, but he also wanted to see who kind of truly cared for him as well. So it's a good way of eliminating everybody from your life that doesn't want to be part of you. So they'll be like, oh, that cup's dead, don't worry about him. So, but yeah.
Well, Ali, if we hear of your untimely demise anytime soon, we'll be like, he's faking it, it's fine.
And if we're disappointing a helicopter in, it's there's nobody there. So
I'm also not on TikTok, so that's already a bad start.
Yeah, me too. So, but anyway, that's my hero for his sentiment.
Hold on, that was a hero.
He's my hero.
All right, sorry. Okay.
I like that.
Mindog?
I'm going to go short and sweet. I'm just off the back of a mental health first aid training course over the last 2 weeks, right? So I'm right into the mental health stuff. And there was two that was coming out with, but I'm going to go with Simone Biles, who's just announced that she's coming back to gymnastics after taking time out for mental health. And I think, given that there's still a big stigma around it, it's really good to see someone that's just said, you know what, I'm not ready. I'm taking a step back and then coming back in. So she gets my vote this week.
Good.
Fair enough. I like where you've gone for gymnastics to try to appeal to our guest there, eh? That's calculated.
Mate, stop trying to downplay everyone else's thing. Just I know what you're doing, Gabriel. You do it every week. Right,
No. Anyway, mine is Steve Clark, Scotland manager. Purely for the way he's turned around the Scotland team from we were absolute dog shit for years, and like that, the whole thing last week at Hampden, the team could have, with that delay, could have just gone back into their shells and probably ended up losing that game. They came back. You could see the focus and the determination in the team that he's got now, and pretty much halfway and on the way to qualifying for back-to-back tournaments, which is just unheard of since I was probably running around as a 10-year-old in my Scotland kits. Back at Italia 90 days, that kind of thing.
Injured.
No, that was
snapping around his ankles.
Well, that was probably where it all started, actually. So yeah, Steve Clark, just for the job he's done with the Scotland team, it's been pretty class, and he does it with a kind of dignified manner and stuff. So I think it's So we've got TikTok guy, Simone Biles, and Steve Clark.
It's a tough one. I mean, the TikTok guy is good, but I would have gone about it a different way. It's probably an easier way to do it than that, And yeah, Simone Biles, definitely fair play for her for standing up to it. It's a bit like that Lewis Capaldi.
That was the other one I had
at the weekend. I think it's like you say, it's okay not to be okay and all that sort of stuff, and it's good to talk. But from a purely patriotic point of view, I think Steve Clark has to be the hero of the week.
It does.
Just as well that the Georgians don't like the rain, or it could be a bit different. But no, we had the game on the TV out in France, and we didn't have any sound because it was just on. And so we're watching what was happening. We couldn't understand what was going on. Was it yes? Was it no? Was it back and forward? But yeah, I would go for Steve Clark as the hero, because fair play to the Scotland team for actually turning up and being top of the table. 3 points after this point, especially with Spain and
Norway as well. That was crazy. Did you see John McGinn tagged himself on Instagram and he said he was at the time capsule, Coat Bridge? That was fucking class, man. That was really good.
Do you see on Twitter there's a guy called Tweets, and he does like loads of the wee cartoons of the goals, and it was the cartoon of Callum McGregor's goal, and it was like the pitch, instead of the pitch it was the sea, and then there was like shark fins in different places, and I think he had Lyndon Dykes like surfing into the box and all this stuff. It's absolutely brilliant. But to be fair, my other choice for the hero would have been the ground staff that managed to get that game playable.
Aye.
Because that was
the upside down brush was the one.
That was class.
was right. So zeros. Minute, you want to lead us away?
Yeah, I'm going to delve into politics again. I know I do this quite a lot, man. It just really fucking winds me up sometimes, man. But it's that prick Matt Hancock who's interviewed, and he's come out with all this nonsense about, oh, it's terrible about how we responded to the pandemic. And I'm just like, mate, you were the fucking health secretary. This is on you. You broke the rules. And now he's coming back and I feel dead sorry for everyone that died. I'm like, where's the consequence for this fucking idiot? Like, what happens to him? Like, people did die, right? But honestly, I can't deal with seeing these arseholes, man. Like, I'm going to calm down because I'm getting pure raging. So, Matt Hancock is the answer, game. Well, that's my zero for the week.
Fair enough. Right, I'll go next. Mine is a Australian businessman called Aaron De Souza, who has launched this thing called the Enhanced Games. And it's basically his version of the Olympics, but there is no drug testing.
Oh,
So everyone's just free to be juiced up on whatever they want, and they'll all compete. And I'm like, and they'll be like, we'll be better than the Olympics. It's like, well, how does it count? You'll be taking whatever enhancement drugs you want to take. So surely that just takes away from whatever their achievements are. Versus the Olympics, where they should be completely clean and not using performance enhancing drugs to beat the times or throw the fucking hammer the furthest or whatever it is. So it just seems like a total like, what are you doing?
what
He's
happens if you get?
Basically-
man. He's a hero. That's a
Yeah.
fucking
Ah,
But what happens if you got like the javelin guy having fucking road rage with the fucking guy running the 100-meter sprint? You can end up with a fucking
I
coliseum.
don't know. I don't know
bloodbath.
if they do them all at the same time. That might be.
Can you
You've got
imagine
a
that?
discus flying out and a javelin cutting across it, and
See if it was 100 meters and the guy fires the gun and they're all on LSD, man. Can you imagine what would happen? They'd be fucking flatting out, man. That'd be. Aye, anyway.
I don't think it's a junkies game. It's just like
I'm not,
performance
I'm not
enhancing.
quite
Like
sure that's performance enhancing, but
yeah.
Sorry, I must have not.
The stadium music goes on and they're all on ecstasy. Like,
Oh,
Right, anyway.
so yeah, that's my zero of the week. So I just think that's fucking
LS.
ridiculous. But there you go.
oh my god.
Right, Skywalker.
I can just imagine everyone on steroids all pumped up. Maybe he turns up on LSD to do the 100-meter sprint. Oh, I got this mixed up. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's making me laugh. Right. Right. Focus. So mine is actually an unnamed woman who was at a Pink concert. So Pink was performing on stage, and while she was performing one of her songs, she threw a bag up to her that had ashes in it. And so Pink was kind of confused and picked it up. And you can kind of, in the video that's there, you can see that she's speaking to the woman that's there. And then all of a sudden, into the microphone, she says, "Hold on, wait a minute, is that your mom?" So she threw the ashes of her mother in a plastic bag up on stage to Pink. So she's obviously totally confused on what to do, and she's like, "You need to get boundaries." And then she just left the ashes on a speaker next to her. But I was like, what is that woman actually wanting her to do? Is she wanting her to just like spray her mother's ashes over the crowd, or I just think that is so wrong. But yeah, so I don't know her name, but she is the zero of the week.
Jesus. Where did you dig that from, man? Like,
it was on Sky News, actually.
Fuck's sake.
maybe
So we've got.
I know Pink, when she does her gigs, she goes up in the high wire, she sort of spins around, like flies around the crowd. So maybe she wanted her just to take the ashes up and sprinkle them over the crowd, like
it could be.
like
I think she
confetti at the end.
Yeah.
Imagine that as everyone's like, "Oh, she's sprinkling something." Yeah.
Ashes in your pint.
Yeah. So wrong. Anyway.
See it off.
That's a tough one. There's three absolute belters there this week. We'll probably stay away from politics, so I'll we'll not get down that rabbit hole.
That's fine.
Probably being from an Olympic point of view, yeah, it has to be the guy that's making up the juiced up games. Like, yeah, it might mean that everybody that is juiced up goes to those games, and then you do get a pure Olympic Games for once. But I don't think it'll take off.
It's gonna be some red flags, and they want the athletes to be like, I'm just gonna go to that one rather than do the Olympics now.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Anyway, I think that's the zero.
Yeah, go for
You
it.
double for Gemel, eh?
Clean sweep.
When's the last time you won one of these, Ali?
It's been a while. I think I got one. Was it a couple of weeks ago?
2021?
Yeah, it's. I'm sure I've won one in the last like 20 episodes, but it's fine. I actually thought Pink was gonna help me out there, but fuck you, Ali.
It was a close second. I'll say that it was a close second.
There you go. You got your silver medal
Yeah, thank you.
until many contestants score.
Yeah. I'll get
Just
bumped to
up.
fourth.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right then. So back to Mr. Little and onto our final bit of the chat. It's the speed round for you. This is just 10 randomly picked questions. Just fast thinking, twitch fibers, get that brain going, whatever comes into your head first. So anyone want to count in?
I'll count you in, Gamo.
Thanks, mate.
No worries, mate.
You're a star.
2, 1, go.
Alternative career.
Coffee shop or wine bar owner.
Oh, nice. A beach holiday or adventure holiday?
Adventure holiday.
Okay. Favorite superhero?
Batman.
Nice. Last fancy dress?
Oh God. I'm just last fancy dress. It's been that long. Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber.
Bummer. Nice.
Favorite drink?
So it's alcoholic or non?
Could be either.
Hmm.
Alcoholic.
I do like a wee iron brew. Let's go with that.
Okay. If you had a boat, what would you call it?
I don't know why Dignity's just come in. It must be the song. I wouldn't call it Dignity. I would call it. Oh God, what would it? Can't think of anything funny, so we'll just go with Dignity.
Go with King of Strapping if you want.
Held together with tape.
Sevens or 15s?
15s.
And this next question is going to seem a bit random, but breakfast for dinner or dinner for breakfast?
Breakfast for dinner.
Beating England, Murrayfield or Twickenham?
Twickenham, definitely.
Nice, rub it in their faces.
Yeah.
If you could compete in any Olympic sport, which one would it be?
Border cross. You know the border cross the Winter Olympics. You know, the one where the four guys in snowboards go down and they race each other down the track.
Oh, decent.
Oh,
Seen
okay.
that? Mental.
I've seen that now.
Basically,
That
go on
does seem a bit
YouTube
mental.
after this and look at border cross. It's basically just four guys on snowboards going around it's almost like a BMX track, but they're on snowboards and they're going over jumps and down things and ramps and stuff. It's really class.
That does sound pretty cool, actually. I like that. Anyway, that was question number 10, and you scored 10 out of 10. Well done.
Excellent. Thanks. First time I've ever scored 10 out of 10 today.
There you go. You can tell everyone you got an A plus on your test.
I'll put that in my CV.
We need to put it in tiny wee writing at the very, very bottom with all the other cool stuff.
So on the introduction to this, just say there's an extra for the CV at the end of the the end of the podcast. Tune in to hear what that is.
Decent.
Well, there we go. That has been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Thanks.
And,
Been a while coming.
I know. You've been on our list since pretty much day one, and it's taken to what was this episode number 42? 43. So yeah,
well,
amazing that we're still going. But
well, it's a very class. I'm following in the footsteps of some very esteemed folk that you've interviewed. Yeah, really good.
Thanks, man.
Like who?
Brian Grant and who else? I did like what's his name? Andrew Cotter.
Oh, yeah.
This is good. He's always good.
His dogs.
He was good value. He was good fun. Anyway, as I say, it's been an absolute pleasure, and best of luck for the rest of the World Cup and World Cup once you get to it. We'll be.
You guys going out to any of the games? Are you getting over to France right now?
Tell you what, if you
Sadly,
get
I
the,
don't
if
think
you get
so.
the guys into the knockouts, then I'll be over.
Yeah, excellent. I'll mention that to them.
Yeah.
Let them know. Let them know. No,
Well,
don't just say it at the back bar. They'll know who you're talking about, mate.
yeah.
I guess we stalked all of them on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, who out of the Scotland players, who would you like to get on the podcast?
Oh,
Oh, I would probably go Finn.
Yeah,
I think he'd be. Well, I don't know who's the funniest.
Dave Cherry probably is
Dave
one.
Cherry, really?
right, okay.
He's good banter.
But he's getting called out.
If you, yeah, he's into shooting and fishing and hunting, and if you want a controversial, podcast guest, get Dave Cherry.
There you go. There's a recommendation for you.
Yeah.
On it.
And Grant Gilchrist as well. He'd be good fun. I think he'd be good banter. He is one of these guys who never lets the truth get in the way of a good story. So very
Sounds
good.
like-
Seems right up our street, to be honest.
Yeah, he's got some good stories. Whether they're true or not, nobody knows now.
Who cares? The
Exactly.
story's a good story, right?
Indeed, it
Well,
is.
last question. We've got the back bar playlist. All our guests fire on
Oh, yeah.
a song of their choice. So, what's the kind of go-to song for you for a night out to get pumped up? What would your choice be?
Whoa, that's a very hard question. If you looked at my Spotify liked list, there's everything from Afrobeats to hip hop to Scottish traditional music. God, to get pumped up for a night out, what would I say? Do you want the name of a song, or do you just want a genre?
No, I want the name of
An
the song.
actual song
name.
name?
Yeah,
Oh God, tell this. I'm gonna have to look at my Spotify. This is how bad it is.
something
What
like
was what was it Tam Cowan picked back in?
something by Ken Dodd.
I'm gonna find it in the where is it?
I tell you what, one of the Fred again, one of his songs that's out is I can't remember the name of it. There's another one, right? Anthony Smirek, you heard him?
I'm going to say yes for cool points, but the answer is no.
Working Classic is a good song that I've been listening to recently. And yeah. Do you want to know how to spell Smirek?
Working Classic featuring Yemi Bolatiwa.
That's the one.
There we go. Right. That is on.
On the playlist.
I'll get you cool points.
Hope so. Need them.
Well, it's certainly going to cancel out the uncool points for Happiness by Ken Dodd that's on
Happiness
there.
by Ken Dodd. Brilliant. So has this been released?
It's on Spotify, so you can look it up.
Was it? Brilliant.
Back bar playlist.
I'll be down. I'll put that on in the treatment room.
Yeah.
And then I'm back in.
It's an eclectic playlist.
That's fine.
Call it that.
They have to listen to my rubbish, so which is an eclectic playlist, so that won't make any difference.
There's some corkers in there, but there is also some seriously suspect tunes. But
have you heard this? I might be just new to the game here. Have you heard this song Belter? It's like a
Gary Cinnamon.
Yeah, that's it. She's a belter. So I heard it for the first time today. I don't know if it's been out for a week.
Ali, that was out in like 2015.
What?
Is that a serious question? I thought, is this an easy?
I swear to God, I'd never heard that song before. It was on the radio today. I was like, what is this song? So it's because I never listened to Clyde One, but I was in Lorna's car and she had to listen to Clyde One, and I was like, I'd never heard of this before ever in my life. So
Ali's stuck in the late 90s.
I know. Because I just listened to I would just listen to Nelly, and not Nelly Furtado. Just listen to Ride With Me constantly. That's the only thing I listen to. So
this new young gun called Tupac on the scene.
That's it. Yeah, big songs.
He's wait till he finds out Tupac died.
I know. What? Don't ruin the series for me. Oh yeah, I need to start listening to the video more.
There you go. Right. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure, Ali. As I said, good luck for the rest of the summer and the World Cup when it comes around. And we will be watching with interest.
Thanks very much. Hopefully I don't get too much TV time. So if I do, then there's a couple of injuries. So.
Yeah.
Hopefully just see you celebrating at the side.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll have to beat James, the doc, for that. He's the king of the celebrations. I need to up my game. He's
there you go.
better at it than me.
You.
Right.
Nice one. Thanks, guys.
Nice one, mate. Thanks very much.
Yeah, see you soon.
Cheers. Cheers.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Right.
There you go.
Handsome devil, eh?
Oh.
He certainly is a little ball of dynamite.
What a resume though. What a career.
I know.
Like you said, Minnie, you should be about 105 fitting all that into.
But I think what's so good is he's so humble with it as well.
Mm.
You know, he doesn't really kind of see it as a big deal or see himself as someone important. He's just so kind of relaxed about it all, and he's like, even just says like, oh, he doesn't really realize it until someone reads it back to you. But phenomenal, some of the things he's seen, just being there.
No.
Yeah.
Makes me look inwards. What have I done? So I scored a conversion against fucking Helensburgh.
I know. It brings things into perspective.
Aye. What a guy. What a guy.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Mhm.
He's given us another couple of names to start hunting down.
Exactly. We'll get him to put in a good word for us.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Special treatment on the treatment bed if you come and do the podcast.
That's
Sorry. Are you alluding to anything else, Sammy?
I don't care. They can make with that what you want.
Whatever, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your double as well, Gemo.
I know.
Well done. Well done.
There we go.
I was certain when I had the pink one, I was like, that was a little ace up my sleeve because who the fuck throws their mum's ashes in a plastic bag?
To be fair, I thought the Simone Biles one would have got the hero actually.
Me too.
The gymnastics and all that stuff would have swung it for you. Such
Yeah.
is life.
That's it.
Oh well. So we shall depart for the evening, and we'll return in another few weeks with another blended guest for everybody to enjoy. And some of our shite chat on the side.
Oh yeah.
Definite.
Definite to the latter, maybe to the former.
All right, gents. Well, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Lovely
Nice
stuff.
Later.
See you later, lads.
Bye.
Bye.